Jay Clark for Renthal. In this video, we're going to be showing how to install some regular 7/8 size bars, which replace stock bars in most of your current bikes or ATVs. So we start with trying to remove the stock grip. You just pry a screwdriver in there. Most stock grips aren't too difficult to get off. A little squirt of contact cleaner in there, and you can kind of twist it a little bit with your hand and squirt a little air in there. That'll spread it around, and then kind of twist the grip, and it'll start to turn, and you can just twist it right off. So if you get your stock grip off, then you're ready to start removing everything else off the bars. So in this case, what we're going to do right now is just loosen everything so that we don't have to completely replace as many things as we could. If we loosen everything, we'll be able to take them all off as we replace the bars. In this case, you would just replace these stock bars if they were bent, or you wanted a different bend of bars, so a different sweep, different angle of bars to run. Here we remove the bar pad so it's out of our way. So we've loosened the kill switch, and now we're loosening the clutch perch, and we're going to loosen the front brake and throttle. With all these loose, now we're ready to remove our bars. And in this case, it's a 10 T-handle. Now that they're all loose, they'll just come right off. And if you notice, the stock mounts have little dots, and they go towards the front of the bike. And you can just try to keep those in the same position. It'll help when you go to tighten them back up. And you can apply a little grease to the threads if you like. That'll help if you're not going to be taking them off regularly. It'll help corrosion in the future. So now you can slide everything off of your stock bars. Off comes the kill switch, then off comes the stock clutch perch. So at this point, on whatever bike you're working on, bike or ATV, especially if you've removed some stock bars, you want to feel right here to feel if there's any sharp edges. With aluminum bars, they flex a little bit more than steel bars, and so we want to make sure there's no sharp edges right here. If there is, we round off this edge a little bit. Same thing in here, and the same thing in here. So in this case, all very smooth, straightforward, brand new bike, very simple. Okay, so right now we'll remove the bar pad on the new bars so that it's completely out of the way so we can tighten up easier. So in this case, since we removed everything without taking it off completely, we can just slide everything back on. This makes it a lot easier. You don't have to worry about your throttle. If your throttle's in good shape, you don't have to worry about redoing anything in the throttle. And so we can slide everything right back on to the bike. On the left side of the bar, we have a knurled edge, and sometimes it's a little thicker. We need to loosen up the clutch perch just a little bit to slide it on. So at this point now, we'll put our top caps back on with the little dot facing forward. And if you look, and it's always a good idea to have your stock OEM manual to get you the proper torque specs. In this case, there's 16 foot-pounds is what we'll be torquing these to. We like to dial the front ones in all the way first to where they're just about completely closed on the front of the bike, and then we can adjust the back to have about a millimeter gap or so. So you position the bars kind of to a neutral position to get started. If you're familiar with where you like them, you can move them forward. But to get started, just kind of a neutral position that's in line with the forks, straight up and down. And we're lining up the marks evenly from left to right of the bars. Just get them snug. At this point, a little easier to have a ratchet to get them down further. In this case, a torque wrench can tighten these down. If your bars are too loose, you can also have bars that come down. It can be unsafe operation. So at this point, we're going to tighten up our throttle. We bring it all the way in and move it out just a hair so that the throttle is not rubbing on the end of the bar. We snug up our throttle. And this is just, regular tight, not too tight. You don't want to strip anything out. And now, on most bikes, there's a spacer in between that will give you the proper distance. But usually it's about 1 inch to 1.25 inches away from the throttle to get your proper distance away so that you're nice and even and a good reach for your hand on the bars. Okay, so at this point, we're going to tighten up our clutch perch. It's a good idea to kind of hold the end of the lever in, and that gives you a distance that you want to be just 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch away from the end of the bar. Usually gives you about a good feel, and also helps prevent any damage if you, or I should say, maybe when you crash. And so now we'll add, last step is just putting our kill switch back on. Some bikes have, a little bit slightly more complicated kill switches with more pieces that fall out. These newer fuel-injected bikes have pretty simple ones, no pieces to fall out. So they're pretty simple to tighten back up. And some of the older bikes, they'll have an extra little black piece inside there that'll fall out. You just want to make sure you get all that in correctly. At this point, you snug back up the kill switch, reinstall your bar pad. You want the Renthal facing out so that when you're getting photos from your, all your fans, that they can see it very nicely. So reinstall this. And of course, the only thing left would be to install new grips, which you can see in our grip video. And we're going to install our clips back on to keep the kill switch line out of the way. So at this point, it's a good idea just to sit on the bike and get a feel for where you like the levers. Some people run them down, way up. A good rule of thumb is just kind of in a level position, like so. Just kind of feel it. Good for most riding when you're in corner sitting down or standing up. Most guys like to go with a good level position. So just, get those tight, and you're good to go. So that's all there is to installing a set of Renthal 7/8 bars.